In this episode of Living Free, we meet Dr. Juliet Mmerem, consultant physician and infectious diseases specialist at the University of Nigeria Teaching Hospital, Enugu. She breaks down the truth behind U equals U. Undetectable equals untransmittable. A message of science, hope, and freedom. When treatment works, HIV can be controlled, lives can be rebuilt, and fear can finally give way to confidence. This is Living Free, when knowledge empowers and stigma ends.
Hello, so today welcome you to yet another episode of Living Free, and I am Dr. Juliet Mmerem, and today I will be taking you through some discussions on U equal to U. So what actually is U equal to U? So U equal to U simply means undetectable is equal to untransmissible. So what's it about this phrase or this short code? So it simply means that when persons living with HIV have an undetectable viral load, then they really cannot transmit the virus. And this is particularly important because we want to ensure that you're taking your medications and you're keeping everyone, including yourself and your loved ones, safe and free. So scientifically, medically, it's been proven that when persons living with HIV stick to their medications, by that I mean they are adherent, they comply to these medications, take them as at when due, how they have been informed, and how they have also agreed with their physician, with their healthcare provider on taking these medications. When they take them judiciously, every day as a daily pill, that this is able to suppress the virus, and I mean suppress the HIV virus to a level that you can barely trace it. The virus basically, I would call it, disappears from the blood. You could use that term. So as at that moment, the virus is totally asleep. Yes, so you check the person and then you barely can see any trace of HIV. So the virus is really, really not there at that particular point in time, because those medications are keeping the virus in check. And once the virus is in check, then really, how can you transmit it? So basically, the person is not able to transmit it to loved ones, other sexual partners, and all that. So it's really something that is very key and important, because then you can live your life, feeling very free, feeling fulfilled, feeling established, because you're safe in the sense that the virus is undetectable, so the virus is not able to penetrate to other organs and cause damages, and really there's no way you're moving to that extent of the disease that is called AIDS, because the worry and the scare is when somebody moves over to that end called AIDS, when things are really bad. So you're taking your medications, virus is under check, virus is asleep, basically disappeared. You can say it is undetectable. We say that it's undetectable at that level. And then really, when you have a sexual encounter with your loved one, with your partner, then there's really a zero chance of transmitting this virus to the person. The important thing is that you want to get that you don't stand a chance of giving it to somebody else. And so you feel really, good about yourself. So that's one really basic fact about this undetectable is equal to untransmissible. Okay, so something else we want to talk about and emphasize in the U equal to U aspects that we're championing today is that the U equal to U, the undetectable equal to untransmissible, also helps one live a very, fulfilling life. What do I mean? So if you're taking your medications, you would be healthy you would look healthy, you will feel healthy, and of course, you're healthy. So that spectrum of what I previously discussed about going into the AIDS spectrum, that's having the full-blown HIV when a whole lot of complications set in, is really not going to happen. And if that's not going to happen, the impact of stigma is very low. So nobody looks at your face and says, oh, really, this person looks like the person has HIV. And you yourself, because you feel good, and you know you're good, then why stigmatize yourself? Because feeling good, looking good, and taking good care of yourself would ensure that you can achieve your full potential. As a matter of fact, it's been known that HIV does not reduce the life expectancy of an individual. So whether you're living with HIV or you're not living with HIV, you can still attain your full potential. And I mean, you can still do all you want to do, all you wish to do. You can do everything, to the maximum. But you must need to take your medications, adhere to it, ensure that you're just doing things right as you're supposed to do. And it really helps you, achieve the best of life. We've been able to highlight the importance of really adhering to your medications, taking your medications as at when due, and really obeying a strict policy, because the medications are really life saving and we should hold them to heart as they are, life saving medications that could actually turn things around for you in a positive aspect, So you're living with HIV, but you're taking these medications to live, a positive life and have a positive outcome. But guess what? If you don't take those medications, things could really, really go really, really bad. And really, I'm not trying to scare you, but I'm trying to tell you the reality on ground, because sometimes I really am saddened when I see, young men, young women, especially, in their youth, in their productive years, when you know that they would have done a lot, they would have achieved a lot, and then they've been weakened down by HIV. And unfortunately, in a good number of cases, these persons knew that they were living with the virus. They had been diagnosed, and they knew they had HIV, and they started taking medications, but pop, something tells them like, you don't need these medications anymore. And they stopped taking these medications. You sometimes I can't really figure out why. Sometimes there's some reasons, some you might not, but if you think about the adverse effects, the bad outcomes, the things that happen when these medications are stopped, then you really so that's really something I want to share with us, because when you stop taking your medications, the HIV just keeps multiplying, from tens of copies to hundreds of copies to thousands of copies. The virus is just having a fun-filled day in your system. And the way they have this fun-filled day, they just keep penetrating different organs, different systems. And, at a point in time, you can actually see this person, AIDS is written on the person's face. What do I mean that AIDS is written? Because AIDS is a spectrum. AIDS means acquired immune deficiency syndrome, and it's that very bad end of when somebody has HIV. So you could have HIV, you're living with the virus, but then you have AIDS, then that is now a spectrum. You now have the complications, the very bad match effect of HIV. And what happens at this time? Because the person's immunity, the HIV virus works by reducing the immunity of the person. It suppresses the immunity, it just brings the whole system down to a down low. Basically, sometimes I use the word that it crashes the system. It's just like a laptop, if I may use that word, and then it just brings the laptop to like zero level. So it's from something that was performing 100%, it gradually sinks and just goes down. So when it brings the body system really that low, it just gives access for anything. And when I mean anything, anything is just anything. Opportunistic infections like tuberculosis, the person could come down with tuberculosis, the person could come down with some form of cancers, the person could come down with some other different infections like cryptococcal disease, a whole lot of them. And these infections could be so overwhelming. So the body is just basically caught up between HIV and other opportunistic infections. And some of these could be very overwhelming. And recall that the immunity is down. And what was the immunity supposed to do normally? The immunity is supposed to just simply fight against infections, because everybody has an immune system, whether you're living with HIV or not. Recall that the HIV tries to weaken the immune system. That is how it attacks, basically. So if you don't keep this HIV under control, the immune system is weakened, and the immune system cannot fight, because this immune system are the soldiers of the body. They are just like soldiers standing at every gatekeepers, keeping everything in check, protecting you, and just making sure you're all good. So when this system is really attacked, a whole lot of things, as I mentioned, just start taking place. And the body could really be overwhelmed. The person becomes sick, starts having, recurrent episodes of fever, cough, a whole lot of things start taking place. And then you really maybe see the person and you say, guy, you don't look well. Babe, something is wrong. And it could really be that overwhelming. So really, not taking those medications could be really disastrous, and it could really be a game changer in a negative way. But well, if you do take the medications and go for your checkup, all these things keep you in line, so that actually you realize the impact that undetectable is really equal to untransmissible, and is equal to living a healthy, fulfilling life. Sometimes people on medications, on HIV medications, suddenly say, "Oh, I've been cured," and they're like, "Cured of what?" And they're like, "Cured of HIV." And the gist is still goes back to the you equal to you. The concept of the HIV medications is that it suppresses the virus. It suppresses the virus. So it puts the virus to sleep. It does not eradicate the virus. So the virus is still there, but it has things under control. It has things under check. And recall, it's a daily medication. So if you don't take the next day's dose, then you create the chance of the virus just popping its head out. So basically, for now, as at this moment we speak, there's nothing like curing HIV. HIV is not curable. However, it's treatable, and you could be treated to the extent that you achieve viral suppression. That's basically the undetectable viral load. So it's not curable one bit, currently, at least for now, but it's treatable. And the whole idea of understanding the fact that you've not achieved cure is to ensure that you take your medications, because the moment these medications are abandoned, then the virus just keeps replicating. That's basically, the virus just keeps increasing in number because it's unchecked. That gatekeeper medication that was putting things under control is no longer there. So the virus now says, "Oh, I have a fun-filled day. I can increase, reproduce, multiply myself," and then things become really bad. So HIV is not curable, but treatable. And the treatment currently really relies on a deadly medication, basically, in our environment, even though, of course, there are other long-acting medications, but really what is available in most programs is the daily medication, and that keeps the virus under check. Aside that, it's also important, especially for young women, young mothers, to understand the importance of preventing maternal to child transmission. That is what is popularly known as the PMTCT. So what is it all talking about? So you have a woman, a mother living with HIV, but what the hell? The child didn't do anything wrong. You don't decide to give HIV over to the child, because then the growing child has a whole lot to battle with in this world of ours. So the best you could do to that child is ensuring that this child does not acquire HIV. And how do you do that? Is by keying into the PMTCT program. That is the Preventing Maternal to Child Transmission of HIV. And basically, what it deals with is as soon as possible, even before conception, you enroll into a HIV care facility, which might have been the one you already are picking your medications at. And then you are enrolled into this program where you're giving medications and you're giving some other follow-up care that ensures that you do not transmit this virus to the child. Also, before childbirth, you'll be given some medications which at childbirth, these medications will be given to the child, and of course some other laboratory tests, investigations will be done for this child, and these instructions will be given to you on how to protect this child basically from acquiring HIV. Doing all this, a lot of women come out, excellent with their child. The children are free of HIV. Some women have gone ahead to give birth to 4, 5, and I'm like, oh, don't you think you should stop there? But basically, mother to child transmission of HIV can be prevented, and it's usually done by keying into the PMTCT program, which ensures that babies from exposed mother get adequate care early on to prevent them from acquiring HIV. Okay, I think I would, before we go, we just want to drop these quotes and let you know that basically taking your medications, living positively with HIV ensures that you're protected and all your loved ones are also. Thank you.